In the year 40 AD, the most powerful military force on Earth stood on a chilly French beach, fully armed, waiting for the order to attack the water. Roman legions, men who had conquered empires and tamed wilderness, drew their gladius swords and began aggressively stabbing the ocean waves. Superior officers shouted tactical commands at the tide, while artillery engines hurled huge stones into the surf. When the bizarre battle finally ended, the soldiers were ordered to drop their weapons, bend down, and fill their helmets with marine shells to present to Rome as plunder from Neptune himself. But to understand how hundreds of seasoned conquerors ended up collecting seashells on command, we have to go back to where it all began. Our story centers on Gaius Caesar, born into Rome's ultimate power family in the year 12 AD. His father Germanicus was a legendary general, and young Gaius accompanied him on military campaigns, wearing a tiny custom soldier uniform. The hardened legionnaires found this adorable and nicknamed the little boy Caligula, which translates to little boots. It was a cute childhood detail that he would grow to absolute hate. When his heroic father died under mysterious circumstances, Caligula was dragged into a high-stakes imperial survival game. Rome's current emperor, Tiberius, was paranoid, ruthless, and eliminating anyone who posed even a tiny threat to his throne. Little Boots had to learn quickly how to keep his head attached to his shoulders. Tiberius summoned young Caligula to his secluded island fortress on Capri. Imagine living in a luxurious villa with a dangerous ruler who had executed your mother and brothers. Knowing one wrong expression could end your life. Caligula coped by putting on a masterclass in psychological masking. He agreed with every strange order, smiled through terror, and pretended to have zero ambition. Tiberius once remarked that he was rearing a viper for the Roman people. When Tiberius finally died in 37 AD, with rumors suggesting Caligula helped the process along with a pillow, the Roman citizens celebrated. At age 24, the charismatic young man named Little Boots became the undisputed ruler of the known world. At first, Caligula was the ultimate populist ruler. He granted massive tax bonuses to citizens, recalled political exiles, burned treason trial records, and hosted gladiator games that lasted for days. Imagine a new leader taking office and immediately paying off your credit card debt while declaring every Friday a national holiday. The Roman public absolutely adored him. But roughly 6 months into his reign, the young emperor fell gravely ill with a mysterious brain fever. Rome panicked. Citizens offered their own lives to the gods in exchange for his recovery, and prayers filled the streets. Caligula did recover, but the man who woke up from that feverish bed was profoundly and terrifyingly changed. Whether caused by neurological damage or the sudden realization that nobody on earth could tell him no, Caligula abandoned all restraint. He decided that if people thought he was a god, he should start acting like one. He replaced heads on sacred Greek statues with sculpted versions of his own face, conversed casually with invisible deities, and demanded to be worshipped openly. When financial reserves ran low due to absurd spending on lavish parties, he simply invented new taxes on everything from lawsuits to food sales. He even forced wealthy Romans to leave their estates to him in their wills, then executed them early to collect the money faster. Fear rapidly replaced adoration across the empire. To show total contempt for the ancient political system, Caligula turned his favorite racehorse, Incitatus, into an imperial aristocrat. The emperor gave the horse a marble stable, an ivory manger, purple blankets, and a house with a full team of servants to host dinner parties for high society. Rumors spread fast that Caligula even planned to appoint the horse as a high-ranking consul. While modern historians debate if he actually meant it, or was just mocking the politicians, the message to the Roman elite was crystal clear. In Caligula's empire, a farm animal had more value than a senator, and any dissent was treated as treason against a living god. When a prominent royal astrologer named Tiberius Claudius Thrasyllus claimed that Caligula had no more chance of becoming emperor than of riding a horse across the Gulf of Baiae, Caligula took it as a personal challenge. To prove the fortune-teller wrong, he commandeered hundreds of merchant ships, aligned them across a 2-mile stretch of Ocean Bay, anchored them, and covered them with dirt to form a continuous highway. Caligula then put on golden armor, mounted his horse, and rode triumphantly across the sea for 2 entire days. He threw massive feast parties right on the floating bridge, occasionally pushing drunk guests into the water just to watch them scramble for safety. Flush with victory over the bay, Caligula set his ambitious sights on conquering Britain, a mysterious island beyond the known world. In 40 AD, he marched thousands of Roman legionnaires to the northern coast of Gaul. But when the battle tested, soldiers looked out over the stormy gray waves of the English Channel. Absolute terror set in. To the average Roman legionnaire, crossing the ocean meant sailing straight off the edge of the flat earth into monster-infested waters. The legion staged a quiet mutiny, flatly refusing to board the transport ships. Caligula was furious. His grand invasion plan was falling apart before it had even begun. Instead of admitting defeat or executing his entire army for disobedience, Caligula came up with a wild, ego-saving strategic pivot. If his men refused to fight the British tribes, they would fight the sea god Neptune instead. He declared formal, direct war on the ocean. If this incredible turn of historical events is making you smile, drop a quick like and subscribe so you never miss another weird chapter of human history. Caligula drew up his infantry along the shore, lined up his terrifying siege engines, and ordered his commander to blow the military battle trumpets, signaling the official start of hostilities against the Atlantic Ocean. What followed was the most bizarre military operation in ancient history. Thousands of armored Roman legionnaires marched into the shallow surf, thrusting their spears into the waves and hacking furiously at the water. Siege catapults launched heavy rocks into the ocean to punish the sea god for his perceived insolence. After a fierce battle against 0 armed opponents, Caligula declared absolute victory over Neptune. He ordered his tired troops to collect seashells along the beach, referring to the shells as the spoils of the ocean, captured from a defeated deity. The empire's finest fighting force stood on the sand, filling their helmets with clamshells. Caligula awarded his men cash bonuses for their brave ocean victory and marched back toward Rome to celebrate an official imperial triumph. Since he had no actual military prisoners from Britain to parade through the city streets, he forced tall Gaulish slaves to dye their hair red, dress in traditional enemy clothes, and pretend to be captured prisoners of war. He displayed the overflowing crates of seashells to the stunned Roman public, claiming he had successfully expanded the imperial boundaries beyond the ocean itself. While the common people giggled at the spectacle, the political elite and military officers realized that absolute madness was now steering the Roman state. By 41 AD, after 4 years of unpredictability, financial waste, and constant humiliation, those around Caligula decided enough was enough. The very men assigned to protect him, the elite Praetorian Guard, formed a secret conspiracy. Led by an officer named Gaius Caesar, whom Caligula constantly mocked with high-pitched voices, the guards cornered the 28-year-old emperor in a private corridor beneath his palace during a theater festival. The reign of Little Boots ended abruptly with 30 sword strikes. The political elite immediately tried to restore the Roman Republic, but the army quickly appointed Caligula's uncle Claudius as emperor instead, continuing the imperial cycle. It is easy to laugh at a dictator declaring war on waves, but Caligula's reign offers a surprisingly sharp warning about human nature that applies directly to our modern world. When an individual is surrounded exclusively by yes-men, completely insulated from criticism, and granted unchecked authority over others, reality begins to bend. Whether it is an ancient emperor commanding soldiers to stab seawater, or a modern leader surrounded by algorithmic echo chambers and sycophants who never challenge bad decisions, absolute power destroys self-awareness. Unchecked egos inevitably declare war on reality itself, and reality always wins in the end. Caligula tried to conquer the sea with swords and clamshells, leaving behind one of history's most hilarious and terrifying legacies. If you enjoyed taking a dive into the deep end of ancient Roman history with us today, hit that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications so you do not miss our next story. Leave a comment down below telling us which wild figure from history we should cover next, or tell us what you would have done if your boss told you to stab the ocean. Thanks for watching, stay curious, and remember to always keep your boots on solid ground.